Good evening. My name is Joe Bandel, and I am the last Rosicrucian. The title for tonight's segment is A New Age of Humanity. So I'll get right into the reading here, and then we'll see what I can find to talk about. Roughly 4,000 years ago, humanity gained mastery over the physical world through the invention of reading and writing. It gained mastery of the physical world by advancing into the world of the mind, by advancing into the non-physical realms of existence. Imagination. The mind became more powerful than the physical body and the physical world. This was the age of the rational atheists. You'll hear me talking about rational atheists. I already have. But they were the ones that invented reading and writing. 2,000 years ago, we're talking 2,000 year cycles. So that was 4,000, here's 2,000. 2,000 years ago, humanity gained mastery over the mental worlds through the development of the soul or observer self. Remember, 2,000 years ago was Christianity. Okay, so when you're thinking of the development of the soul or observer self, think about Christianity. That's its message. Suddenly, a tangible and stable psychic phenomenon called the soul or observer self, as it's called in psychology, made its appearance and seemed to prove the existence of personal awareness and life after the death of the physical body. This soul or observer self was not mental, but spiritual in nature and seemed balanced between male and female as it observed and looked out from the core of the physical body itself. This was the age of the social enforcers and the development of the soul. It wasn't just Christians, but many religions discovered this soul concept. They discovered this observer self. In dreams, the part that stands behind and watches, like on a movie screen. That's what we're talking about, and we're saying that was only came into being 2,000 years, really came into being 2,000 years ago. Christianity was the main proponent of the observer self at the time. It was beyond the mental, beyond reading and writing, and people thought that it was immortal, and it could be. Now we begin another 2,000 year cycle, and this time period belongs to the organic Gnostics. On every 2,000 years we get a new energy coming in. So this is different than the last 2,000 years. This is the age given to mastery over the world of physical things, the world of mental things, and the world of spiritual things. This is the age where it all wraps together, where it all comes together. The rational atheists still exist as a powerful group of collectivists seeking to dominate and control the world through purely scientific means such as computers and artificial intelligence, and the use of logic and reason, which they believe is supreme. Modern science does not recognize spirituality in any form at all, and only recognizes logic and reason as the supreme authority, which I just mentioned. Human thought itself is seen as a form of computer code consisting of linked and associated thought patterns. The social enforcer that believes in the soul, or watcher, observer self, still exists, seeking to dominate and rule the world through a higher moral code that will lift humanity toward its highest spiritual goal. The social enforcer uses morality as the sacred, as the highest possible external authority which all individuals must submit to and obey. It does this by passing laws and enforcing them by physical force if necessary. It demands submission of the self and of the individual by demanding adherence to higher external authority. Now, just taking a moment here, if we look at the rational atheists, they're trying to dominate the physical world. The social enforcers are trying to dominate the spiritual world and the mental world. The organic Gnostic stands above and beyond both worlds by integrating physical reality, emotional reality, mental reality, and spiritual reality in a single healthy human ego with a strong sense of self-esteem and self-worth. The sense of strength and identity is centered within the individual, within the heart, within the still small voice of conscience, and not given away to some external authority, physical or non-physical. This is an evolutionary leap of unprecedented scope. For the first time, life is based upon the individual and upon a personal viewpoint, instead of an external, all-encompassing higher authority. Humanity has reached the age of maturity where it is able to stand upon its own feet as a race of human individuals sharing a common world but experiencing it individually. The circle has become complete. For the organic Gnostic, our world has become a home where all is comfortable and known. Nothing is pushed off into the distance as sacred and unattainable. The organic Gnostic holds mastery of all the levels of life in his or her competent hands. Because nothing is sacred or removed or unattainable, all things become possible in an individual way. The old ways are left behind and abandoned. With the advent of the organic Gnostic, humanity for the first time becomes free. The world of the spirit has returned to inhabit the world of the physical. Power has returned to the self, the soul, and to the individual. External authority is on its way out. That's quite a handful. But again, we're talking about external authority versus internal authority. We're talking about listening to the heart and the still small voice of conscience. And we're talking about self. We're talking about self-esteem, how important healthy self-esteem is. Now, I was just reading something about spiritual leaders, so-called spiritual leaders or whatever, and cults and personality cults, this kind of stuff, where they seem to form a hierarchy, or the church forms a hierarchy. There's leaders, there's stages that go beyond, and any one of these hierarchies seems to have the head trippers at the top, the ones that can outthink the others. But that's unfortunate, because we all have the spark of the divine inside our hearts, and we all have a unique opportunity to discover love in our own ways and share it in a unique way. And the only reality, the only truth that is worth seeking will be shared by the heart, and it will be self-evident. I'm not asking anybody to believe what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, just hear me out, bounce it around a few times, check in with your heart, your conscience, and what does that say? What is your inner truth? Because our society has been so removed from inner truth that it doesn't recognize it exists anymore. And that's really what I'm trying to do in these messages. I'm trying to say, hey, wait a minute. We need to listen to what's inside our hearts. We need to listen to what's individual, and each one of us has an individual path and an individual gift and an individual understanding that we should share. Now, what prompts me to make these videos, and I'll say, before I made these videos, I made a series of posts that were written out. And before I did that, I wrote a lot of it out, trying to share the essence of the Western mystery traditions as I understand them. This post continues that. But I think to myself, why? Why am I doing this? What's in it for me? And the answer is kind of strange, because the answer is, I have to. I don't know why I have to. I believe so strongly that this message is needed in today's world, and I see collectivism. I see moving away from the heart. I see all this moving into the head. I see the hive mind trying to dominate, trying to take over, and people giving their power away to external authorities. And something inside me says, hey, you have to share what you feel and believe with other people. They don't need to, they can take it for what it is, but I have to share. Doesn't matter if I have followers, doesn't matter if I make any money on it. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not making any money on it. But I'm putting a lot of time into it, and I can't help it. My conscience is directing me in this work. And I believe it's an important part of Gaia's ascension process, because our society is currently in a war, and it's divided. And I'm hoping that some of the things that I share will help to heal that divide. Well, I'm out of time. I wish everybody a good evening, and thank you.